Pantazi. On my YouTube channel, once in a while, I'll put up a video and someone will come in and say, well, this won't work in MMA. And it's just the same story over and over. You ask them if they trained or what experience they have with the Kyusho, and they really don't have any experience. So they make up the assumption that it won't work in MMA just because the video it was a training video and it was in a dojo and it's going slow and I'm showing an application. But what they are missing is if they don't train it, they just don't know. Okay, they have no idea. Now, I'm going to put up here, there's a comment on my last video on the zygomatic knockout. And you can go and check out that knockout. And I'll put it at the end of the film, right over at the last frame of the film. So watch the end and then go watch that knockout as well. Now, what I've included here is 4 knockouts I've done over the year. Now, I've used this target hundreds of times in 45 different countries, and it seems to work fine for all those applications, and that's because I used experience. I went in there, I tried it a few times, got the technique working, then I took it on the road and went to all the seminars that I've done around the world and used different people from different arts, from different styles and different situations. I did a couple training films with it for Budo International and just on my own website at kyusho.com. So there's many different applications, but I have the hands-on and heads-on experience that you're going to see in these videos. Now, I'll put them on the background as you can see them playing out now in a faded out application. If you want, you can go to the extended videos and see the full clips that I've made for you with the sound, the dialogue that's going on at that particular filming. So again, these comments are entertaining and I don't mind them. They're people's opinions, but I'd like to get some opinions from people that actually trained it and then tried it in the martial arts. Now, we had Dr. McClintock came on here and he was describing how he applies his in his BJJ class all the time, and they don't know what's going on, but they know that he's getting them subdued really quickly, unconscious, dizzy, not able to move, and that's because he's applied these techniques. Now, I don't train in BJJ. I've trained 3 jiu-jitsu styles, and I've applied it in many different jiu-jitsu holds. As you'll see, a face choke coming up, a grounded application where I'm in mount position. You'll see a clinch position, and you'll see striking applications as well. And if you look at the last video that these comments were made on, the zygomatic knockout that I'll include again at the end of the film, a link to it, you'll see that this is not
nerve facets.
Okay,
this is going to be
target-based, and that's what these guys don't get. It's not that Kali won't work, where this guy made his film or his comment on, or a certain technique from Sanshin won't work, or any technique won't work. It's not the art. Okay, it's not the training film. It's the target. When you start using this target, the zygomatic nerve that comes right out, a zygomatic branch of the facial nerve, when you start using that, you're going to get more experience at it. And as you do it, okay, you're going to get more proficient at it. And once you get the tools down that work the best for you, the bracing, because you have to hold the head, otherwise the head's going to escape on you and you won't get any action on it. You won't get the unconsciousness or the body dysfunction or any of the ramifications that you see in these videos. So again, experience. And for those of you that are apt to comment on these videos, you should really think about doing the training before you can make the uneducated statement that it won't work. It has worked so many times in real situations for many people, myself included. As I said many, many times, I've had 3 altercations where the Kyusho worked wonderfully. I have many law enforcement agents around the world in different vocations, from maximum security in prisons to a narcotics squad, and they all have worked this successfully on different people of different modalities: aggressive, non-passive, people working with under the influence of drugs, alcohol, etc. And Kyusho works. It's just whether you're willing to work it. Stay tuned. The extended videos coming up with those knockouts.
We're looking at a traditional Bao, Chinese martial arts Bao, Okinawan. It's in many different styles. This happens to come from the Sanchin closed gate of Weichi-Ryu. It's a Weichi-Ryu practitioner right there that volunteered for this back in a seminar in the UK back in 2002, 2003 era. I kind of forget, but we're going to go through a clinched position and how to utilize that by using the head, the forehead, under the facial nerve of the cheek and coming down on the lesser occipital nerve.
He's still unconscious, by the way.
All right, let's take a look in slow motion. What we're going to see is a couple different things. First of all, his neck, and then his legs. And then you'll see that his head goes down before his arms, so he didn't slap out like most people accuse us of. And yeah, sometimes they do. You saw the leg go straight up in the air. He had no control over his body, still doesn't. As a matter of fact, you heard me say that when I was trying to revive him, he was still unconscious. And this affected him pretty well. And we're going to discuss why that worked and the different nerve facets. This is going to be an extended video that I'm going to give here on the free YouTube section, just to give people an idea of what goes on behind the extended videos and how we handle it. We show you the technique, we describe the technique, how you can get to it, then get into the three-dimensional anatomical study, and from there we usually go into the effect at the end, but you saw the effect up front. It's sort of like clickbait, get people to watch this more. The real information, though, is going to be right after this film, so stay tuned, and we'll get right into it. Let's take a look at the brain up close here. We're going to be talking about the reticular activating system. Now, in Ohan Soken's notes, we've been going over how he always mentions there's a loss of sense and motor functions of the brain. And that's because what we do in Kyusho, for the most part, is we're attacking or overloading the brain and the reticular activating system in particular. Let's get rid of the skin here, okay? And we'll start digging deep. Now, this is the older model, and it's a great model. You can see the detail, and you can see the level of accuracy. The new model we use on the Ohan Soken notes is even finer detail and far better than this. So let's keep taking a look here. Let's dig down to the brain. We'll take care of the muscles here. Now we're going to start to zoom in. Let's center this for you. Sorry, it gets a little jumpy when I'm working around here. I got a mouse here that I'm clicking, and I want to make sure that I've got the detail in here for you. Let's get rid of this right in through here. Let's see here. This is the nuchal ligament. Let's just hide that. Okay, now we're going to go right into the brain here. Let's see. We'll zoom up a little bit because it's right in the brain stem that the reticular activating system rests. Let's get rid of the skeleton. And now we can see that this is the dura mater of the spinal cord. We'll hide that. You can see the spinal cord, and this is the medulla. Of course, this is the spinal cord. Medulla goes up into the pons, and the reticular activating system is in this general area right in through here. And what it does is it interacts and it transmits into the brain many different signals. Okay, so we're going to have signals coming out into the cortex. Okay, all over the place. You'll see a better drawing than this. Okay, I'm drawing here with a mouse, so you'll have sense signals coming in, and then also you will have motor skills or motor transmissions going out. So when Ohan Soken says that it affects the motor and sensory skills of the brain, it's through the spinal cord, the brain stem, and the reticular activating system. Now, the reticular activating system is also responsible for levels of consciousness, and it's not a mystery if you look away from the pressure points. You have the TCM and pressure point Kyusho groups telling you that it's energy moving back and forth, and yeah, it is. That zoomed in quite a bit. Okay, the energy is moving from a biochemical transmission or electrochemical transmission through nerves. So, yes, it is an energy. It's not the mystical, magical chi that they discuss. It's not pressure points. We're attacking real structures here in Real Kyusho, and what Ohan Soken is discussing. And that's, again, what keeps you awake at night or lets you sleep. It's what helps you function. It has tie-ins with the medulla, not the medulla, just the medulla, but a lot of structures and wakefulness and sleepfulness in your system. Let's take a look at an illustration here now. And we can see that the reticular activating system is throughout the pons, midbrain, medulla, and it has radiations that go out to the cerebral cortex. The reticular information again is in this lower brain area. The descending motor fibers, that brings the transmissions to the body from the brain. Visual input will bring it in from the eyes in. And then you have the ascending general sensory fibers that will bring the senses in as well into the body. It regulates balance and posture, hugely important for Kyusho. It regulates sleep and conscious attention. And the injury of this could lead to irreversible coma. And this is why some of Ohan Soken's targets are listed as fatal. So again, very powerful. Let's take a look at the structure of the knockout again. We'll try to go frame by frame. Sorry about the film quality. It's not that good. But that's what we have to work with, video cameras and transferring them to files early on in the early 2000s. Pretty rustic compared to today. So thanks for watching. We'll take a look one more time at this and we'll break it down frame by frame. Taking a look at this first frame, you see the head positioned underneath the facial nerve. You see the hands on the lesser occipital nerve. That's to loosen the body. The pressure up on the head is bending as I'm bending the neck as I'm pulling in on the neck to shock the reticular activating system. You see how the neck is transformed. You see the legs already beginning to give way. The hands are still in place. The body is sitting down. The hands have let go. The body has lost all control. And as he descends, you can start to see that he's unconscious already. The visuals not really great here because of the film quality, but the body's falling. His whole body is sprawled out. Leg comes up in the air as the motor control's gone, and he's sprawled out and you can see how the body is just getting to a very prone position. No posturing of the body whatsoever, just arms and legs extended out from the body, totally unconscious at this point. Probably put in a little bit more juice than was needed for the demonstration, but to get the purpose of it all, you can see. So that's it. Let's take another look at what's going on deeper inside. Okay, here we're taking another look again to see what targets that I was activating in this area. So let's take a look at these. First of all, this facial nerve root right here, or this facial nerve right here. This nerve comes right underneath this zygomatic bone. So when I placed my head on this, I was putting pressure up so it would come underneath the bottom of this bone to pinch the nerve and send a nerve message into the brain via this facial nerve.
In the past, so you can see that. But what I'm going to do is I'm coming right up underneath that cheekbone. Again, the facial nerve comes out and it looks like a tree root system or tree branches, and it just cuts all the way across the face. I don't want to get into the particular nerves because you don't even have to know what they are. Just, you have to know that one runs right underneath that zygomatic bone, right through to the cheek. And we're going to be using this target a little later in some of the grappling applications as well. By using this and hitting upward underneath that, I'm going to pinch the nerve against the bone. And that's basically what this type of an action does. Or even if you're doing this movement in the form, you can see that that could have a downward trajectory. Yeah, you could hit with the palm coming down, you could hit with fingertips if the nukete is your thing. Okay, I like a nice strong weapon, and this is my preferred weapon, so again, it's personal choice. You have to make your own. But if you came in with a straight strike, just coming right up underneath the cheekbone can cause quite a bit of a shock. So again, if he comes in, okay, boom, and I just okay, you see that the way the body vibrated with that, and that is more of a neurological. There is a blood vessel up underneath there, okay, but I'm not hitting hard enough to get to that. Okay, now I haven't broken the skin, I haven't caused any hematoma. Was that much like more like the first ones or the blood? Neurological. The neurological. And you saw that as before he fell, he just went into a state of shock. Now because it was his face, I didn't hit it as hard as I hit the jaw. Okay, but so you saw that it didn't have the quick reaction. It had more of a shaking reaction before he fell. If I hit that harder, okay, he would have had an instant shock like you saw in the first knockouts of the film. And again, only to stage 2, not a total unconsciousness, but at that point, is it really necessary? No. You get the person down, it's okay. And it's safer for us. As martial artists, we know how to fall. We fall all the time. So we can break our fall, which was a big question a lot of times to say, okay, the guy's not knocked out because they're doing break falls. Yeah, they are, because we're not knocking them out totally, and their training kicks in automatically. It's not like you think you're slapping out or tapping out onto the ground to break your fall. Your body just has done that because you've done it so many times and so many years in a row. Right? But if you go for total unconsciousness, there is none. And you've seen these on YouTube and things like that when people go completely out. There's no control. Their heads bounce off the ground. Not what we really need for today's expose on sunshine.
Right up underneath the zygomatic arch, there's a nerve that runs along underneath here that causes extreme pain when pushed. Now, in a grappling situation, I might not be able to strike this or hit him with enough force because we're in tight. But I may be able to slip an elbow right up in there, or I may be able to put a palm up in there some different way, or maybe even just a single knuckle as we're trying to escape. Okay. Now, what this does is it works on the nerve, but there's also blood vessels that it works on as well. Now, I want you to don't take your head up off the ground for this. Now, his head is going to be on the ground for this because of safety factor. Because if his head was up here and I started with a compression here or I just shoved up underneath, his head's going to bang off the floor, and we don't want to do that for just a training video. Okay. What we're going to do is, say you're in a grappling situation, you're trying to vie for a position, and we get right up underneath with the forearm here, or we slipped an elbow right in here. Just by doing a little bit of a compression, which is like a strike, it's a short pulse of energy, not from a distance, but with contact and just pushing into it, you can cause further disruption. Okay, so again, if we're messing around here, and I just get him here, and cha! Okay. Face the camera. Okay. You can tell by the eyes. You back?
Hello.
Okay. Were you conscious while I was sitting you up?
No.
Could you see?
No.
No. Okay, you were just in the space.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know you were awake though? No, no. Okay.
I felt the compression and everything, like tunnel vision, just went zoom, right down, closed, and next thing you know, you're smacking me in the back of the neck.
Okay. Now the eyes were fully open, but hopefully on camera you got a shot of him. You could see that he was just gazing. He wasn't focused on anything in particular. And this has an effect on the optic nerve. And just by pushing up in there rapidly, this kind of a compression can cause such a surge of vibration or a neurological message to the brain that other capacities like sight, for example, in his case, or consciousness or hearing, all these can close down. Now, in a high-stress situation, you've heard from many different martial artists and law enforcement officers that the body goes through a stress period with an adrenaline rush. What happens is you have auditory occlusion where your hearing goes. You have the peripheral vision shuts down on you. Your eyesight goes away. Your muscles are in a fight or flight response, and they lose fine motor skills. So even though you're able to move, okay, it doesn't mean that you're able to do anything in particular. Okay, now, could you hear anything? You weren't even in focus.
Yeah.
This induced so much stress that the body shut down the hearing through the auditory occlusion, the peripheral vision shut down, the fine motor skills. So even though it looked like he was awake and moving, okay, it's very little that he was aware of at that point. Now again, it's a safe technique to use, works excellent in grappling because you don't always have that ability to come in with a good long-range ballistic shot or even a short-range ballistic shot while you're in that tight. And again, with the dynamics of the distancing from here, to get leverage to strike in hard is very difficult. And you'll notice also that you don't have to open your body up, which is where the opponent is able to knock you off or further strike something. So these compressions are going to work especially well in the grappling because you're going to need a base, and I'll explain that in the next segment.
Let's go back into this. Now, we had the pull in and down, okay? So we're getting this downward type of an action with this, this motion. Now let's go up with it. I'm going to be using the same iron bone hand, using the same technique and everything, just going for a different target, okay? Could you come in with that hand strike? Okay, so again, I parried off, I've got the head turned, but this time, instead of trying to snake underneath, I'm just going to put my hand under here, okay? And what I'm going to do with this hand is I'm under the facial artery here and the facial nerve, and I'm going to pull up and in, okay? Now, when I do that,
That was awesome. Look how ready he is. Oh yeah.
all right, could you explain what just transpired?
Total dysfunction of my legs. My whole leg went out. Everything went black, and that was fun.
Okay, now, you know the artery comes under the cheekbone just like the nerve. Now, I believe I got into the nerve really well at the beginning because I know that his legs didn't collapse on him. His legs came up because all of a sudden I had his full body weight I could feel, and I had to let it drop so he wouldn't get injured. But the legs buckled or came up to that fetal position, and that signifies the nerve. But then after, okay, the blood sunk in. Now, did you get the white flash or the black, or do you remember?
Yeah. No, but that was awesome.
But look at your face now. So
Yeah.
it was completely red, And now your color's coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, but that was the upward motion, whereas on Mike we applied the downward twist or rotation of that iron bone. Now I came up underneath it. And you have to be careful when you come up underneath it. I'm not going to apply it again. But if I kept my hand stationary and pulled up, the chances of pulling this tendon in the thumb is pretty good. So what I needed to make sure is I turned the hand this way, I braced it here, I used that as a lever, and then I just allowed it to turn up underneath. So that portion of the bone dug up under the zygomatic arch here and got into that deeper tissue. Okay, if I just struck it, I'm not going to get in that far.
So I have a question. So it's not along, it's underneath the cheekbone here, right?
Right.
But it's way back. How far back?
It comes off the facial nerve root here, and it
And
comes all the way across.
It runs along it the whole way.
Right. I find that the most sensitive area is basically from the masseter muscle. You don't want to get on the muscle back here because you chew, you talk all day. This muscle gets pretty strong and it's dense. So you need to feel where you're right in front of that muscle and then go right up under the bone and the... I mean, it's a hollow part, but you can get it to the front, you can get it more to the back.
Yeah, so you're right at the edge of the eye.
Yeah, so if you push right where John's fingers was here, you get a result. If I push here, you get a result. If I push here, you don't have as much result because now you have the connection where the bone comes down and joins into the... You've done a split movement, and you're going to come up underneath with the uppercut. Now, a lot of people, they work the uppercut in boxing. It doesn't knock the person out. That's because they hit in the jaw. You have to hit from back to front to get the neurological attack. Now, I'm not going to do that because it's dangerous. You can dislocate the jaw, maybe break his teeth on that clacking. Okay, so I'm going to come up underneath the cheekbone. So as he comes in with this, and I sunk in, once I've located here and I come right up underneath, you're going to start to see that there's neurological dysfunction. Sorry about that one, John. You okay?
Yep.
Okay, now what you're going to see if you slow motion the film is his legs came up. He did not fall. He went into a fetal position. And that's because I struck a facial nerve and I clipped it coming up and he just went into that tucked fetal position. And that's what caused that neurological shutdown. Now, what did you see or do or feel on the way down?
Just that full contracting of the body, and then I hit the ground, and that was it. So I really don't remember that.
Yeah, okay. So I caught him right up underneath the cheekbone. You have the facial nerve that comes right along the zygomatic arch underneath, and I'm not going to do it again, but I took the one knuckle, we call it the blood pool hand from the Bubishi, and I scooped right up underneath there, pinched the nerve against the cheekbone, and that's when you got that neurological effect. So thanks.
Mm-hmm.